This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello and welcome to We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. My name is Carol Merton, and today I am delighted to be taping on site at Safe and Sound and having interviews and conversations with those with lived experiences. Our participants are sharing their stories to increase the understanding and awareness about the challenges of everyday living and the struggle for survival. Some are unhoused, and some are at risk of not having a roof over their heads. I thank those support agencies and services who work hard every day to meet people's needs and who have helped in the development of this program. We're actually going to be talking to Jacob, and Jacob has both a lived experience story. He also is a story of someone who has moved from lived experiences to actually staff and employed. So I think that's a wonderful story of hope, inspiration for others as well. Jacob, thank you so much for being here today. So we have some questions we're going to go through, and I will leave it up to you for those you're comfortable answering and for those you may not be comfortable. How long have you lived here in Owen Sound?
About 5 or 6 years now.
So what brought you to Owen Sound and why do you stay?
Previously, I lived in Toronto, just trying to balance affordability and finish my schooling in child and youth worker. Once I finished, it got to the point where it was too unaffordable, so I had to relocate.
Yeah, from Toronto to Owen Sound. In your past, or presently, do you consider yourself homeless?
I have been homeless in my lifetime, not currently, but previously, yes.
So you've had that lived experience of being homeless. Tell us a little bit about how that experience, what led you to that experience and what it was like.
From the time in Toronto, I lived in a homeless shelter and going to school for child and youth workers, so my placement ended up being at a drop-in center. So I was working in a shelter and then going home to a shelter.
Wow. Wow.
So I seen both sides very early on, like the expectation of the worker and then the expectation of the participants or clients of the program. So,
yeah. You know, that's remarkable because you were actually working to create a future for yourself while you were homeless and in a shelter. So working towards a more hopeful situation, but being without a solid personal roof over your head. Wow. Currently, if you don't mind me asking, so when you moved to Owen Sound, were you homeless at that time too?
A certain kind of homelessness, yes. Like couch surfing, which is considered hidden homelessness, I think they call it now. I used the motel program at the time Y housing.
Yeah. So and people, your comment about the invisible or hidden homelessness is important because sometimes people have to depend on friends or family, relatives, whatever, but they go couch to couch. They don't have a home that's their home, and that was your experience. During that time, where did you spend most of your time? You know, you couldn't just stay on a sofa all the time. Where did you spend your time in Owen Sound?
Well, when I finished school, that's when my addictive activities kind of took over, so I spent a lot of my time at Safe and Sound.
Yeah.
I found the staff remarkable when it comes to giving you that positive interaction,
Yeah.
and you feel safe, and just utilizing all the social programs in the area.
Yeah. To be able to address that particular issue that you were dealing with at the time. So you've had the issue around affordability of homelessness, but also addictions. What did you find about that time in your life's experience about your health? How did you take care of your health?
When I was in active use, I pretty much didn't think a wink about my health. It wasn't until after I got sober and in recovery that I started to really give more respect in that perspective.
Yep, yep. So when you were in that stage of your life experience, where did you go for food or shelter?
The Salvation Army, O'Share, Safe and Sound.
Yep. So you went from spot to spot. You've shared with me that you're in a different place and space now. Did you want to talk about where you are now? And we mentioned that you are employed, right? And I really want to give that message of hope that there are those who are in different stages of life who have been homeless and addicted. Do you mind sharing that?
Sure. So as of today, I recently switched jobs from Safe and Sound to a different social service agency in Own Sound. I should start at the beginning. So when I first got sober and in recovery, I started volunteering at Safe and Sound. I took a passion to Safe and Sound and their mission. And then eventually, after I was sober for long enough, I felt strong enough that it wouldn't put my sobriety at risk. I got offered a contract for casual part-time here. And then moving forward, the next winter, I was hired on for the winter program here.
Yes.
And it was extended on after the winter program, but and then that's when most recently I transitioned into a full-time position at a different agency.
Yeah. So a remarkable story, actually. And that's something that you continually work towards, right? It's a lifestyle that you're trying to stay sober and to continue to support yourself. And you have a place now that you can stay in.
Yep.
Why would someone not want to accept support? You mentioned that you did, you needed the support, but there are some who don't. Any ideas why that would be?
A lot what I see people declining support is many different, first thing is they're not ready, or they don't feel like they need the help.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of times they've been let down with different areas in Ontario or around the world, or different agencies. They felt like they were left down, so they think every place is going to be like that.
Mm-hmm. So that certainly would be one of the reasons. Now, Jacob, there is one other part that you're involved in now, because, and I hope you don't mind, but you also want to provide to the community. You've put your name forward to sit on a committee to represent the community at council, correct?
Yes.
Do you mind sharing about that? Because I think that's a remarkable example of someone who has been homeless, who's obviously had a challenge with addictions, quite open about it, but also wants to give back, and I think that's a remarkable story. Would you mind sharing about that?
Sure. So I applied and was onboarded on the Accessibility Advisory Committee with the City of Own Sound. I applied because in my own personal views and values, I felt like there was things missing from Own Sound and a lot of places around Grey Bruce that I felt that I would be an asset to try and fill in those gaps or bring views forward and just put a different perspective out in the air.
Yeah. So engaging and giving back to the community helps you, but also helps the community, for sure. And that, I think, is also a very remarkable part of you, that you want to do that. Hanging out with friends. What do you do?
Well, I don't very much, well, sorry, excuse me. I'm quite busy now with all these committees and work and trying to balance personal life and professional life, but I like to stay home.
Yeah.
Ever since I'm recovering from the addiction aspect, but I'm also recovering from the crowds of Toronto.
Yes.
So like just being in a small group is a lot more comforting for me.
Yeah.
I just.
Yep. That helps you. Yeah.
Just staying home, and it's more comforting and it's more safe, and I do go out and visit family and friends occasionally. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question in the time of your lived experience that you were homeless. Do you think it's different for men than women being homeless?
I think it is.
Tell me why.
Well, if we look at the access for services, historically, I find there's a lot more emergency shelter programs and more resources for women fleeing from certain violences and behaviors.
Yeah.
When like there's a lack of supports for just women in general, and especially men that aren't fleeing certain labels or conditions, and then it's just very odd to me. But
what do you think the rest of the community does not understand about being homeless?
I think a lot of communities, especially most recently, are running on false narratives about people experiencing homelessness and people experiencing addictions, and they're in people of need, and instead of us helping them, we're labeling them, we're judging them, we're not providing help, or at least a helping hand to say, okay, well, when you're ready, there's this available.
When you say they are people in need, I think the key word is people.
Yeah.
They're all people. So the producer has given me the magic signal. For those who are in the viewing audience, it's now a red-handled broom. He's crossing over to show me that it's time to sign off. Jacob, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate you being here.
You're welcome.
And thank you to our viewing audience for joining us for We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. Please join us again to hear more stories about those individuals in our community who have much to offer. Thank you.
Ani, I'm Carolyn King, and I'm a member of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the creator of the Moccasin Identifier. Philip Cote, an artist in Toronto here, took and redrew real moccasins. We're starting over with the children. The idea is that they would research whose land their school is built on, near, or what treaty area they're in. And the educational kit that we have has all that information in there. And the children just, love it. My dream is that this province will be covered with moccasin identifiers within the next decade, and they will forever know whose land they're on. That's the goal. Educate and awareness with a nice, simple little program called the Moccasin Identifier.
Hi, I'm David Sherman, host of Politically Speaking. Join me for my next show, where my guests will be from the Blue Water District School Board. Politically Speaking on Rogers TV.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today for We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. My name is Carol Merton. The participants on this program are sharing their stories to increase awareness and understanding about the challenges of everyday living and survival. Some are unhoused and some are at risk of losing the roof over their heads. I thank the support agencies and the services who work hard every day to meet people's needs and also who have helped in the development of this program. Today we're taping the interviews here at Safe and Sound. You may hear sometimes some background noise. Participants come in and out of Safe and Sound. We're going to continue on with the interviews here in the back room, but if you happen to hear a little bit of background noise, that's what it's all about. So, Paul, thank you so much. I'm pleased to welcome Paul, and you're here to help me understand more about what it's like to have the lived experience. How long have you lived in Owen Sound?
45 years.
So you are definitely an Owen Sounder.
Yeah.
It's home to you then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what brought you, like, has this been always your home?
Yeah.
I'm not guessing at your age,
I was
okay?
born and raised here.
Okay, so this has been home.
All my family are businessmen and people of the community that work here.
Okay.
Like Elfie Formaggi was my grandfather. He's well known around here.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I had kids young and when I worked early,
Yeah.
young life at 14,
Wow.
been on my own
So say again how long you've been on your own?
since I was 14.
Since you were 14.
Yeah.
Wow. So you really did the major part of raising yourself then on your own.
Myself, my girlfriend that became my wife, and my daughter.
Wow.
And then later on to be a son too.
So you've got lots of experience.
Yeah. They're all raised now, but
Yeah, yeah. Would you consider yourself homeless?
right now, off and on, yep.
So at this point in time, in our interview today, do you have a roof over your head?
Only momentarily at times for motel rooms or couch surfing, I call it, at friends' places.
So couch surfing at friends' places, but generally you would say you're homeless at this
Yeah.
point. Can you share with me what actually led you to being homeless?
Heart attack, car accidents, a bunch of things that happened to me. Being put on prescription drugs that I got cut off of that became of looking for street drugs for pain, and I was out of work from my heart attack. My dad shut the shop down.
Yeah. Do you know, I appreciate you sharing about the prescription drugs. In the interview so far, that hasn't been touched on. But I do know that for some, addictions can begin, certainly with prescription drugs. So if you don't mind me asking, and you say if you do, but you had to have prescription drugs because you mentioned heart attack and an accident, but then they were stopped, and so you had to hunt for street drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you needed.
It's a hard thing to come off of. Just say Monday, you've been taking your medication for the last 4 years, and then Tuesday it's all gone. Like that's it. There's no tapering, nothing,
Wow.
and you become sick. All different kind of symptoms, all your pain's back, and then worse than what you had in the beginning because now you're addicted to opiates and different pain medications.
I appreciate you sharing that because you are the first interview that has shared that history. And I think that's really, really important because people who've had things happen to them, not their choice, you didn't choose to have a heart attack, you didn't choose to have an accident, but end up being addicted to medications that were originally prescribed to try and help you, right? Okay. So is there a part of town that you usually like to go to during your day? Is there a particular, where do you hang out?
I choose mostly at Safe and Sound,
Yes.
downtown area, because it's convenient to get from A to B.
Right.
CCMH place.
Yeah.
And within this area of downtown, the outskirts is too far when you're walking.
Yep. Yep.
up and downhill because we have the west and east side of the hills.
Yeah. We seem to be blessed with hills here in Owen Sound, no matter which way you look. So you choose to be more central because you can get from place to place more easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That became a problem for me with the tent program because we would have that for a while without the winter. Like the summer, spring, and fall,
Yeah.
you could have a tent that's donated and you put one up, but you can't have them up because of the bylaw in the city. And then, like I said, to have it put up somewhere, you have to go way out
Walk.
that way or way out this way.
Yeah. So that meant that it wasn't, I mean,
Being on opiate medication now, legally back on it, I have to go to methadone and to get, or the pharmacies where they prescribe it.
yeah.
The SOS team prescribes me. I
Yeah.
prefer them.
Yeah. That's the paramedics, the supportive outreach.
Yeah, they do a lot of different things for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get along good with them, and I think they do a good job.
So for you to have a tent further away means you have to walk to get to the services that you need,
Yeah,
and that's a challenge.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost nearly impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
The time it takes. You can get a bus pass. You only get it momentarily for about a year, and then it's disqualified.
Yeah.
You got to reapply.
Yeah.
Some get it, some don't.
Yeah.
You can get day pass bus tickets, but they're limited too. So
Yeah.
it's only for so long.
Yeah.
And then you're put back to the start again, right?
So it's just like a cycle where you're off and then you're
you
back.
get going, and then you're back. If you don't get it that luck of the draw, I guess, to get it, what you have to do to get it arranged in housing or
Yeah.
to move or do whatever you got to do. If you don't get that done, you're just going to go back to the start again.
Yeah. Yeah. So transportation is a real issue if you have to be anywhere distant from right downtown then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you've talked a little bit about trying to take care of your health, but where do you go for food or any other support? So you've talked about the medication and the methadone, and the paramedics helping you. Where do you get your food?
Safe and sound.
Okay.
Breakfast here. I went to O'Share. I have an eating disorder, so I don't really go there too often.
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking to my SOS team about getting insure drinks
Okay.
to help me with that. But
So that adds another complicating factor where when you have an eating issue with special needs, where do you go for food?
and if you don't have a spot where your tent, where you have anything like canned goods or anything, or a food box, and when you're in a motel, like you get 7 days and then you're back to the start again. So it's like that circle thing where you're back to the start. You gotta basically go eat takeout and store food. Like
And
at
that's
the corner
not always
stores,
what's best for your health.
you go without food.
Wow. Yep. So that's certainly some challenges for you to even stay well and healthy and coping
Yeah.
with those requirements. So,
It's hard to keep weight on for me because of the walking amount that I do and not eating properly, and the medications are also weight loss for me.
Yeah. So certainly that creates even more challenges for you. So you slept outside in the winter?
I have, yep.
So how do you keep warm?
I actually snuck into a outhouse urinal.
And
For
so like a porta potty kind
yeah.
of thing? And that's where you had to sleep?
I curled up in a blanket that I got from Safe and Sound in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
A couple times I did it in the fall.
Yeah.
And then when they're gone, then you're kind of screwed up. You have to run from bank to bank or
To go to the bathroom or to get warm?
to get warm, like,
Yeah.
because security will come along and tell you that you gotta go, but you have nowhere to go. So you run to the nearest building that has a lobby room or something to warm up.
Yeah. You know, it almost, when you're telling me this
It's
story,
embarrassing too. Like, doing that, but what else do you do?
Yeah.
Survive. You freeze or you run to the next door that you can get in.
So you're almost in a fight for survival. You're desperate to find even just a warm place.
Yeah.
And so when people come and tell you to move on, you have no option, but I'm sure that must be absolutely devastating. Like, how do you stay warm?
I have a friend, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's 62, homeless. He just finally got housing. And myself, we were together a lot.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to him, and I'm a lot younger than him, being 45, saying, like, I can't do another winter. Like, there's no way I'm going to make it. Like, just having a couple in a row. And now I'm thinking of him at 62.
Yeah.
He must have a real struggle.
Yeah, to survive.
Like,
It takes courage.
and he has, like, paraplegic problems like his back.
Yeah, which
So-
makes it difficult. If you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for?
My daughter to be back alive. She just died 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I am so sorry. Oh, that's tough.
She had a heart attack too.
Sudden.
Yeah.
And no, you had no idea. Wow. That's like hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be number 1 big wish. Yeah. Dare I ask you about any others, or has that just completely defocused you from wishes?
See my son more often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be able to talk to my grandpa one more time before he died.
Yeah.
Be my top 3.
So for you, connection with family is the most important. Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate you sharing your information. You have provided information so far that hasn't been covered in our other interviews, and it takes a lot of courage to speak up and to try and survive day after day. I wish you all the best. I am absolutely honored to meet you, and I thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us here on the Rogers TV program We All Belong, Stories of Lived Experiences. Please join us again to learn more and to hear those voices of our community members who have lived experiences. Take care. Thank you.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Jesse L. Martin is back.
Why crash a plane that half the passengers survive? That's why you're here.
Why would somebody confess to a murder he didn't commit?
Why get fancy with poison when you could just shoot the target? It doesn't make sense.
I hear people are irrational.
I was brought in because I know things about people.
Thank you, Professor.
I'm glad I was able to help.
The Irrational, all new, Mondays 10, 9 Central on City TV or stream it on City TV Plus.
Hey, it's Krista McKee here of Wandering Gray Bruce. I am so excited to bring to you the 5th season of the show. We're going to meet some very exciting and